Hello, this is my speech. Here are the people.
Hello.
Hello.
This is my family. Okay. Well, in this speech, I want to expose and demonstrate that the brain can adapting and change as a result of the conduct and the experience. Until the 1960s, psychologists believed that change in brain structure could only take place during childhood or as a child. In adulthood, it was believed that the brain structures were imperturbable. Modern research shows that the brain continues to create new neuronal connections and altering existing ones in order to adapt to new experiences. Learning from behavior is the most important part that we have. And new information to create new memories. The first years of a child's life are a time of rapid brain growth. At birth, each neuron in the cerebral cortex has about 2,500 synapses. By the age of 3, this number has grown to a whopping 15,000 synapses per neuron. The average adult, however, has about half that number of synapses. Why? Because as we gain new experiences, some connections are strengthened with others are eliminated. This process is known as synaptic pruning. Neurons that are used often develop stronger connections, and those that are rarely or never used eventually die. This is the problem that we have. When don't use some part of a virus, this part die in, for example, in our cortex or brain. By developing new connections and eliminating weak ones, the brain is able to adapt to the changing environment. Brain plasticity, also known as neuroplasticity. This is the topic of this speech. It's a term that refers to the brain's ability to change and adapt as a result of experience. When people say that the brain has plasticity, they are not suggesting that the brain is similar to plastic. Okay? Neuro represent the neurons and the nerve cells that are building blocks of the brain and the nervous system. And plasticity refers to the malleability of the brain. And here we have a question. How does brain plasticity work? The human brain is composed of approximately 80-60 billion neurons. Early researchers believe that neurogenesis or creation of new neurons stops shortly after birth. Today, it's understood that the brain has the remarkable ability to recognize pathways, create new connections, and in some cases even create new neurons. Yeah. There are some defining characteristics of neuroplasticity. It can vary according to age. While plasticity occurs throughout life, certain types of changes are more prevalent during specific life ages. The brain tends to change a lot during the first years of life. For example, as the immature brain grows and organizes itself, generally the young brain tends to be more sensitive and adaptable to experience that the older brains have. It involves a variety of processes. Plasticity is permanent throughout life and involves brain cells other than neurons, including glial and vascular cells. It can happen for 4 different reasons: as a result of learning, experience, and memory formation, or as a result of brain damage. We can see in accident or a problem or when we are sick. While people used to believe that the brain was fixed after a certain age, more recent research has revealed that the brain never stops of learning, changing in response of that. In cases of brain damage in an accident or a problem with we are sick, such as during a stroke, areas of the brain associated with certain functions can be damaged. Eventually, the healthy parts of the brain can assume those functions, and the skills can be restored for the functionality of the body. The environment plays an essential role in the process. Genetics can also have an influence. The interaction between the environment and genetics also plays a role in the formation of brain plasticity. Brain plasticity is not always good. Brain changes are often seen as improvements, but this is not always the case. In some instances, the brain may be influenced by psychoactive substances or pathological conditions that can lead to detrimental effects on the brain and behavior. Functional plasticity refers to the ability of the brain to move the functions of a damaged area of the brain to other undamaged areas. Structural plasticity refers to the brain's ability to change its physical structure as a result of learning. I want to do these 2 definitions: plasticity, functional, or plasticity, structural. It's very different. As a result of this concept, it's important that our learning, experience, and cognitive environment continue for the rest of our lives. And it's our duty to have a good old age to keep our brains active. We can only create new brain networks if we reinforce our knowledge in any area that we chose. For example, when you try and learn an idiom, or we knew a new subject or a new topic or a signature, new connections are made between some neurons and growth is very beneficial for our body. Thus, the neurons of the cerebral cortex determine which memories to maintain and strengthen by rebasing the neural circuit and restoring neural transmission between the involved neurons. Each new attempt to learn improves the efficiency of the synaptic transmission. The communication between the corresponding neuron is improved. The cognition becomes more and more quickly. The synaptic plasticity is perhaps the pillar on which the amazing malleability of the brain rests. As conclusion, I want to finish with this. The neurons we use most often develop stronger connections, and those that are never or rarely used eventually die. This is the problem with our brain. I want you to consider what happens when we stop living, thinking, feeling, and learning. I want to finish with this question. Do you still think that you should not spend time learning and unlearning? Thank you for listening to this speech.